boy, well, it's great to be here, and good morning, everyone. And Evan, thank you. Do you know what you whispered in my ear? You can explain the Leafs. I can't explain it since 1967. I'll be lost for words. But thank you for that, Evan. On behalf of the province of Ontario, I want to welcome you all to Toronto, and I always say the greatest jurisdiction anywhere in the world, for the second annual U.S.-Canada Summit. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge the impressive list of speakers and dignitaries joining us today, including Senator Coons, Governor Pritzker, Governor Dunleavy, Minister Jolie and Anand, Ambassador Cohen, Ambassador Hillman, Premier Scott Moe, Premier Raj Pillay, and former Premiers Jason Kenney and, of course, Christy Clark. And Christy, I'll look forward to sitting down and having a quick discussion in a few moments. I also want to give a big shout out and thank you to Ian and the entire team at the Eurasia Group for organizing this event and for bringing us all together. Coming together like this, talking about how our two countries can continue to work together to create jobs, deepen our relationship, has never been more important. With Putin showing no signs of ending his illegal war in Ukraine, China continues to assert itself and its interest in the global economy, and at a time when the world has never been more uncertain, we must do everything in our power to protect stability here at home. It's never been more important to bet big on U.S.-Canada relationship. As neighbors and allies, as two countries that value freedom, democracy, and the rule of law, and as a rare island of stability in an uncertain world. Thank you. You know, folks, we have a unique opportunity to leverage our strengths and resources to secure prosperity for future generations of Americans and Canadians. As everyone in this room knows, the economic relationship between our two countries has been one of the most enduring partnerships in the entire world. And it's a partnership that is growing stronger each and every single year. Speaking from my own experience as Premier since 2018, two-way trade between Ontario and the United States increased by 25% to nearly 500 billion Canadian dollars. If Ontario were a standalone country, and by the way, I never recommend that, but if we were a standalone country, we'd be America's third largest trading partner in the world. In fact, our province is already the #1 export destinations from 17 U.S. states and #2 export destination for another 11 states. But we can't take this progress for granted. We need to be laser focused on how we continue to seize economic opportunities in a rapidly changing world. That's why over the past year, our government has signed strategic investment and procurement agreements with Indiana, Michigan, and Nevada. Yesterday, I had the honor of sitting down with Governor Walz from Minnesota, who unfortunately had to leave earlier yesterday. But let me tell you, Ontario and Canada have a committed and dedicated partner in Governor Walz. And I can't wait to continue working side by side with him as we strengthen our economies. And just this morning, I was thrilled to join Governor Pritzker to sign a new memorandum of understanding with the great state of Illinois. And for the folks, the governor knows this, I spent 20 years of my life in our family company in Chicago, and next to Ontario, Governor, I love Illinois. I'm in love with the U.S. as well. These agreements help boost trade, attract investments, and create jobs on both sides of the border. Critically, these agreements are helping to further integrate cross-border supply chains, from agriculture to energy and aerospace to auto. So many of our industries rely on seamless cross-border collaboration. We all know that famous stat. An auto part crosses the U.S.-Canada border as many as 8 times before being installed in final assembly plant in either one of our countries. This type of integration has helped both our countries become world leaders in so many sectors, including the vehicle production. It's through this cooperation, this same dedication to shared economic prosperity, that we can secure North America's position as world leaders in the production of electric vehicles and batteries. With China attempting to flood world markets, we need to work together to build an electric vehicle and battery supply chain that will meet domestic and global demands for the cars of the future for generations to come. Ontario and Canada are blessed with some of the most mineral-rich deposits in the entire world, including here in Ontario, the Ring of Fire, with the critical minerals needed to make the next generation of electric vehicle batteries. To put it in plain terms, we have a simple choice. We can unearth our critical minerals responsibly, sustainably, and working with our First Nations communities, or we can let Russia and China and other jurisdictions meet growing demand, fueling further global instability. I know what choice I'm making. I'm choosing Canada. I'm choosing stability. The last thing we should ever consider is a policy of rip and ship. North American minerals should support production of North American batteries. It's a vision for an end-to-end electric vehicle and battery supply chain that creates jobs at every point in every region it touches. In fact, we need to start thinking about critical minerals and the component parts needed to make batteries, exactly like we've treated our integrated auto supply chain for decades. Just like auto parts cross our border every day, minerals and battery components could be crossing our borders on truck, train, planes, or across the Great Lakes 6, 7, or 8 times, adding value and creating jobs on both sides of the border at every stage. This new cross-border electric vehicle supply chain will create thousands of good-paying jobs, revitalizing auto plants and communities in places like Detroit and Windsor that were at risk just a short few years ago. Friends, these are the types of actions we need to be taking and the policies we need to be working on. At this conference today, in forums everywhere, we need to be asking ourselves, how can we better secure our North American supply chains across all sectors to become less reliant on countries further afield that can be relied on and that might not share our values? I should say can't be relied on. I apologize, they can't be relied on. How can we boost trade between our two countries while staying competitive in global marketplace? How can we get beyond Buy America and Buy Canada to a Buy North American mindset? And how can we provide certainty, stability, and prosperity to the hundreds of millions of Americans and Canadians that are relying on us to maintain an open trading relationship, regardless of political circumstances or external events? While the world remains an uncertain place, one thing I have complete confidence in is that when our two countries, our people, our businesses, governments, and labor leaders work together, there's nothing we can't do, and there's no one we can't compete against. Thank you again for inviting me to speak today. I hope you all enjoy the conference, and may God bless the people of Ontario and Canada, and may God bless the people of the United States of America. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Premier, for that concise and clear message, friendship across the border between our two countries and our states and provinces. So let me start with this. When I was Premier of British Columbia, the thing that kept me awake at night when it came to trade was softwood lumber.
Yes.
I'm curious what it is that you see as the biggest issue for Ontario. What keeps you awake at night on when it comes to cross-border trade?
Well, cross-border trade, I would say, and this is coming from a guy that lived pretty well 20 years and is the #1 promoter of the United States, is American protectionism. I get it. You know, I'm out there saying, buy Ontario, buy Canada, and I live down there, and my great American friends are experts at it. But if you look around the world right now, we are so much stronger when we're united. When we go, as I say, Christy, it's us, meaning the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, against the rest of the world. We're up against China. We're up against all of Asia, Europe, South America. And, you know, with the sheer economic power of the United States and the critical minerals and the energy that we have in Canada and manufacturing as well, we're just intertwined. We're connected. You know, the old saying, the U.S. sneezes, Canada catches a cold. That's how intertwined we are, and not to mention people going back and forth and living down in the U.S. or living here in Canada. There's no two greater allies in the entire world than Canada and the U.S., and we need to stick together.
And the world is the world is a very unstable place, dangerous place. As you say, many of our values are under attack all over the world. We rely on the American military might to look after the continent and our country and our values around the world. But America needs our critical minerals. How do we make sure, I mean, the federal government has brought in the Critical Minerals Act and some other legislation that should be helpful. But really, it's up to you and premiers to make sure that those minerals get out of the ground and they get produced and they get shipped. So specifically, what is it? How do you see your role in that? And what specifically do you think provinces need to do to enable that Canada is a full partner in securing our military might around the world?
Well, that's a great question, because right now, let's just use nickel. You know, China has the nickel market cornered right now. Do you know where the last safe haven is? Here in Ontario, up in Sudbury. We have ample nickel. Up at the Ring of Fire, that we're working with our First Nations communities hand in hand, where there's chromite, cobalt, nickel, silver, gold, platinum, and there's I'm just naming a few. There's another 34 of them that are critical. And who better to give those critical minerals to make sure that we're protected is the U.S. military, working hand in hand. The last thing our friends in the U.S. and the U.S. military want to rely on is China, because it won't go very, very good. But when you have a great partner here in Ontario, with the largest mining sector in the entire world, we look forward to working hand in hand, and plus not just getting them out of the ground, but processing it as well.
Yeah, I mean, the world needs it. America needs it. We need America to have it. How do we make it happen fast, though? Because, you know, you think about federal legislation comes in, they have big ideas back in Ottawa and Washington, D.C., but it's you that has to make sure the legislation in place in your province is where it needs to be to get those minerals out of the ground in a timely way.
Yes.
Are you bringing in specific legislation around that now, and particularly with First Nations? I know you talked about that in your comments.
Well, first of all, Christy, we have a phenomenal relationship with the Indigenous community here in Ontario. It's about making them a partner. A lot of these communities it's flying communities. They run on diesel. And it's not just the benefit of what they're going to get out of the critical minerals, but it's getting a road up to the Ring of Fire in one instance. And we're going to make an announcement in a couple of weeks with Arrowland First Nations. We'll be doing the first 80 kilometers. Webuquet and Martin Falls is doing their environmental assessments. That's well on their way. And we just have to make sure we all cooperate, because it benefits them, no matter if it's healthcare, if it's food, if it's having broadband, internet capabilities, and not relying on diesel. In the middle of winter, up in the north in Canada, it gets really, really cold. And, you know, they have problems with diesel. They want reliable energy. And we want to be a, energy powerhouse in North America. Clean, green energy, which is nuclear. Bruce Power here, we're building a whole other nuclear station with Bruce Power, but right now it's the largest nuclear facility in the world. It's safe. Darlington and Pickering, we're refurbishing. but mark my words, folks, it's critical minerals and it's going to be energy. Energy is like the gold, and if people don't have it, especially with the big data centers, they suck energy like you've never seen before. And with all the EV vehicles coming out, the electric vehicles, I should say, they're going to need it. And the expansion here, and the big auto plants, over $43 billion of auto sector came here. And like Bloomberg said a month ago, on Canada, which should be Ontario, is knocked off China as the #1 destination for EV assembly and battery manufacturing. But we need to stick together. Folks, everyone knows it here in Ontario. I've been saying it for years. I love the United States of America. Don't get me wrong. #1, I'm a patriotic Canadian. But I mean, side by side or slightly below, I love the U.S. and I have a tremendous amount of respect for them and have friends, probably thousands of people I know down there.
Now, before I let you go, I want to ask you about the USMCA.
Yes.
So, under review, new administrations in Mexico, perhaps a new one in Canada, perhaps a new one in the United States. How much do you worry about how that could affect Ontario, and what are you doing specifically? How can Ontario contribute to make sure that we're protecting this relationship?
Well, just a shout out to all the governors and senators and the premiers. We play a critical role in this. We're the engine behind both countries. And again, I know it's very popular to say buy Canadian, buy American. I want to change it to buy North American because we're so instrumental in each other's economy. You know, we do more trade. We're the #1 trading partner to the U.S., but there's more exports coming up to Canada than China, Japan, UK combined. And let's keep it that way. Let's just keep moving forward and making both economies strong. And the quality of life is so important. When we have a strong economy, we have a great quality of life. And I just look forward to moving forward, getting this done. I know both ambassadors will play a critical role, Cohen and Ambassador Hillman. But the governors are going to play a critical role. I remember last time we went down there, and we were supporting the federal government. That a couple MPs and ministers are in the room. I don't care, folks. I don't give two hoots about a political stripe. I just don't. If it's good for Ontario as a premier, I'll work with any political stripe. I don't care if it's orange, green, purple, red, blue, as long as we get it done.
Well, thank you, Premier Ford. I don't think there are many premiers who have been such great ambassadors for Canada to the United States as you are. Thank you very much for your comments today.
Thank you. And enjoy your stay, folks. Thank you.